What if one invention could change everything you thought you knew about the future? Imagine standing alone in a packed auditorium, thousands of eyes fixed on you, the air thick with anticipation, as you prepare to reveal something so revolutionary that it could rewrite history. Emily Parker felt that exact weight pressing down on her chest. The hum of the crowd faded into the background as her mind raced back to the moment everything changed, a mysterious encrypted message arriving on her phone at midnight, promising secrets tied directly to Elon Musk himself. The message was brief, just a few lines of code and a single sentence: "The future is closer than you think. Are you ready to see it?" Emily had spent weeks obsessively decoding the message, tracing its origins, and piecing together clues that no one else could understand. She had no idea then how dangerous this path would become. Today, as she stood on the cusp of revealing the invention inspired by those clues, a question gnawed at her: what if this invention could disrupt the very fabric of society? Could she handle the consequences? The auditorium's giant screen flickered on behind her, casting an eerie glow over her determined face. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? She called out, her voice steady but laced with emotion. The words were not just for the audience here but for everyone watching worldwide, connected by the digital thread of technology. Emily had always believed in the power of invention, not just to solve problems but to spark hope. But hope, she knew, was fragile. She remembered her childhood in a small town in Ohio, where the vast skies made her dreams feel limitless, even as she grappled with loss. Her father, a mechanic with hands that could fix anything, had died when she was just 8. That loss had left a hollow space inside her, one filled later by her mother's unwavering support and endless encouragement to reach beyond their modest means. Emily's earliest memories were of tinkering with broken gadgets in their garage, trying to breathe life into forgotten machines, her small fingers tracing the curves of wires and circuits. It was there she learned the first lesson that would carry her forward: that every problem had a solution waiting to be found, if only you looked hard enough. As she grew, her friendship with Jake became a beacon of light. Jake was a tech prodigy who shared Emily's passion for innovation and dreams of building something that could change the world. Together they had stayed up late, debating and designing imaginary devices that stretched the limits of what was possible. But life had its own plans, pulling them in different directions. Emily's move to Silicon Valley marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with challenges she had never imagined. The tech world was a battlefield where she constantly had to prove herself, fighting through skepticism and the shadows of self-doubt. Early failures threatened to crush her spirit. A project that she had poured her heart into collapsed spectacularly, leaving her wondering if she belonged at all. It was then that she discovered Elon Musk's story, the relentless drive, the ability to push through failure and criticism, that reignited her fire. She immersed herself in his vision, studying his words, his risks, and his unyielding belief in the future. When the encrypted message arrived, it felt like a sign, a chance to step beyond the ordinary. But the message was only the beginning of the storm. As Emily started to work on the clues, she found herself under suspicion. Her workplace became a hostile environment, whispers of espionage following her down every hallway. Even some she trusted turned against her, their doubts a sharp blade twisting in her side. The most painful was a betrayal from a close colleague who had once been a friend, a moment that left her isolated but more determined than ever. The prototype she attempted to build based on the fragmented data was plagued by setbacks. Each failure felt like a personal defeat, especially when a major investor pulled funding at the worst possible time. Financial pressure mounted, and nights stretched into endless cycles of frustration and exhaustion. Yet, through the darkest hours, her family and a few steadfast friends offered a lifeline. Their belief in her reminded Emily that hope was never far away. Then came the breakthrough. A clue buried in the data led her to make a bold decision, to seek answers directly at the source. Against all odds, she arranged a visit to SpaceX's headquarters, a place synonymous with innovation and risk. The journey was surreal. leaving the familiar streets of Silicon Valley behind for the cutting-edge world of rockets and technology. Security was tight, obstacles everywhere, but Emily's resolve never wavered. Inside a hidden lab, the reality of Elon Musk's secret project was more astounding than anything she had imagined. Sleek machines hummed with potential, and the atmosphere crackled with the electricity of discovery. The invention was not just another gadget, it was a device that promised to solve the global energy crisis, a clean, limitless source of power, but with unknown risks that could change humanity's path forever. Elon Musk himself appeared, a figure both intimidating and inspiring. He shared with Emily the burden of responsibility that came with the invention. The truth weighed heavily, this breakthrough could save or destroy, depending on how it was handled. Tensions escalated when government agents moved to seize the technology, thrusting Emily into a high-stakes game where trust was scarce and betrayal close at hand. A trusted ally turned, forcing Emily to make a narrow escape with the device in hand. Alone but hopeful, she reached out to a global network of innovators and dreamers willing to fight for the invention's future. As the crowd awaited her revelation, Emily's heart pounded with a mixture of fear and excitement. The question still echoed in her mind, could one person's courage truly change the world? The answer was about to unfold. This story is just beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Leave your thoughts and stay with us for what comes next. The future is closer than you think. Emily's early life. Emily Parker grew up in the quiet town of Ashland, Ohio, a place where the wide-open skies met endless fields and everyone knew your name. It was the kind of town where dreams often felt small, contained within the borders of what was familiar and safe, but for Emily, those borders had always felt like walls she was desperate to climb. Her earliest memories were steeped in the warmth of her family's small but cozy home and the tinkering noises from her father's workshop. Mark Parker was a mechanic, a man who could fix just about anything with his hands, and his love for machines passed on to Emily like a secret inheritance. He was patient with her endless questions and curious experiments, showing her how the tiniest gear could make a difference in the largest engine. But when Emily was only 8, everything changed. Mark was killed in a car accident on a rainy night, leaving her mother, Susan, to raise Emily alone. The loss left a raw ache that no amount of time could dull. Emily remembered sitting in her room, clutching a broken radio she had tried to fix just hours before the news came. That radio became a symbol of her grief and determination. If she could breathe life into a dead machine, maybe she could make sense of the world without her father. Susan, a school teacher, became Emily's anchor. Despite their financial struggles, she encouraged Emily to chase her passions and never settle for less than she deserved. "You have a mind that can change the world, Em," she would say, wiping tears from her own eyes but never showing weakness. The neighborhood kids often teased Emily for being different, too serious, too focused on nerdy things like circuits and coding while others played outside. But her best friend Jake stood by her side. Jake was the kind of person who saw the extraordinary in ordinary things, and his own fascination with computers made their friendship a powerhouse of ideas. Together, they spent countless afternoons in Emily's garage-turned-lab, surrounded by wires, tools, and the smell of solder. They built robots out of scrap metal, programmed simple games on old laptops, and dreamed aloud of creating something the world had never seen before. High school was a mix of triumphs and heartaches. Emily excelled in science and math, often earning top grades, but the social pressures and the weight of her family's hardships sometimes made her retreat into herself. College applications were a source of stress and hope. With Susan's encouragement and Jake's unwavering support, Emily won a scholarship to a prestigious engineering program at MIT. Leaving Ashland was bittersweet. The town had been her safe harbor, but the world beyond promised possibilities she couldn't ignore. At MIT, Emily was both exhilarated and overwhelmed. The pace was faster, the competition fiercer, and the challenges more complex than she had imagined. She found herself in classrooms filled with brilliant minds but also steeped in old biases, subtle dismissals, low expectations for a woman in engineering, and the constant pressure to prove her worth. But Emily's drive never faltered. Late nights in the lab became her sanctuary, where she could lose herself in the hum of machines and the thrill of discovery. It was also where she reconnected with Jake, who was studying computer science nearby. Their friendship deepened, becoming a partnership of equal passion and respect. They dreamed of launching a startup, creating technology that wasn't just innovative but meaningful. Yet, life's challenges didn't pause. During her final year, Susan fell ill, and Emily juggled hospital visits with her demanding studies. The experience taught her resilience in a way nothing else could. She learned to find strength in vulnerability, to ask for help without shame, and to hold on to hope when the future seemed uncertain. Graduation brought a moment of triumph but also a daunting reality. Silicon Valley called, promising innovation and opportunity but also fierce competition and high stakes. Emily landed a job at a promising tech startup, where her skills were respected but her voice often drowned out by louder, more aggressive colleagues. The environment was both a proving ground and a battlefield. Her ideas sometimes met skepticism, especially when they challenged the status quo. It was during these early years that Emily encountered her first major professional setback. A project she led to develop a new energy storage system failed spectacularly after months of work. The company lost a key investor, and Emily's confidence took a hard hit. The sting of failure was personal. She felt she had let down not just the team but herself and the memory of her father's faith in her abilities. But even in those dark moments, she found glimmers of hope. Jake remained her steadfast supporter, reminding her that failure was often the first step toward success. A mentor, Dr. Sandra Kim, recognized Emily's potential and offered guidance that reshaped her approach to innovation. Dr. Kim introduced her to Elon Musk's philosophy of first principles thinking, urging Emily to break problems down to their fundamental truths and rebuild solutions from the ground up. Inspired by Elon's relentless pursuit of ambitious goals, Emily began to see her setbacks not as roadblocks but as detours guiding her towards something greater. That's when the encrypted message arrived, an unexpected spark that reignited her passion and set her on a new path. The message promised access to a secret project, one that Elon Musk himself was involved in but had kept under wraps. Intrigued and cautious, Emily began to piece together the puzzle. As she dug deeper, she faced growing suspicion from colleagues and strangers alike. Whispers of espionage and questions about her intentions turned her workplace cold and distant. Trust became a rare commodity. The hardest blow came from someone she considered a close ally, who betrayed her by leaking information to the authorities. Emily's world contracted, but she refused to give up. Her mother's words echoed in her mind, "You have a mind that can change the world," and with that, she vowed to push forward. Alone but resolute, Emily poured herself into her work, determined to uncover the truth behind the secret invention. Every failure in her prototype only strengthened her resolve, each setback teaching her more about the limits and possibilities of the technology. When funding fell through, she turned to her small circle of friends and family for support. Their faith reminded her that hope was a powerful force, capable of carrying her through the darkest nights. The journey led her beyond the familiar streets of Silicon Valley to SpaceX's headquarters, where the line between possibility and impossibility blurred. There, in a hidden lab humming with the future, Emily faced the reality of a device that could revolutionize energy but also carried risks that threatened everything. Standing at the threshold of this new frontier, Emily knew that her past, her losses, her friendships, her failures, had prepared her for this moment. The invention wasn't just technology, it was a test of her courage, her heart, and her belief in what the future could be. And with that belief, Emily took her first step into the unknown. Career beginnings. Emily Parker's arrival in Silicon Valley marked the beginning of a thrilling yet daunting new chapter in her life. Leaving behind the comforting familiarity of Ashland, Ohio, she entered a world where innovation was currency and competition was relentless. The sprawling tech hub was both a beacon of opportunity and a battlefield where only the toughest survived. At first, Emily was overwhelmed. The energy was electric, with startups springing up like wildflowers and visionary leaders pushing the boundaries of what technology could achieve. She landed a position at Nexus Innovations, a mid-sized tech company specializing in renewable energy solutions. It seemed like the perfect fit, a place where her passion for sustainability and engineering could converge. But reality quickly proved more complicated. The company was dominated by a culture that prized aggressive personalities and loud voices, traits that didn't come naturally to Emily. She often found herself overlooked in meetings, her carefully reasoned ideas drowned out by the bravado of male colleagues. The subtle dismissals and microaggressions chipped away at her confidence. Despite her growing frustration, Emily refused to be sidelined. She threw herself into her projects with determination, hoping her work would speak louder than words. She volunteered for difficult assignments, worked late nights in the lab, and learned every detail of the technology Nexus was developing. But even her hard work couldn't shield her from setbacks. Early in her tenure, she led a team tasked with designing a next-generation battery system meant to be more efficient and affordable. The project was ambitious and carried the hopes of the company's future. Months of experimentation and countless prototypes ended in failure when a critical component malfunctioned during testing. The consequences were harsh. Investors grew wary, funding dried up, and Nexus Innovations faced the threat of collapse. The blame fell squarely on Emily's shoulders. She struggled with the weight of disappointment and self-doubt. For the first time, the confidence that had carried her through years of challenges wavered. Questions haunted her: was she truly cut out for this? Had she misjudged her abilities? Could she live up to the promise her mother always believed in? It was during this crisis that Jake re-entered her life in a way she hadn't expected. Though their paths had diverged since college, Jake had become a successful software engineer at a leading tech firm. Hearing of Emily's struggles, he reached out, offering encouragement and a reminder of the passion that had first drawn her to innovation. "Remember why you started," he said during one of their late-night video calls. "It's not about avoiding failure. It's about what you do after you fall." Around the same time, Emily met Dr. Sandra Kim, a seasoned engineer and entrepreneur known for her mentorship of women in tech. Sandra saw Emily's potential immediately. She introduced Emily to a mindset that would prove transformative: Elon Musk's philosophy of first principles thinking. Instead of accepting assumptions and conventional wisdom, first principles thinking urged Emily to deconstruct problems into their most basic elements and rebuild solutions from scratch. This approach shifted Emily's perspective. She stopped fearing failure and started viewing each setback as an opportunity to learn, innovate, and improve. With Sandra's guidance, Emily began experimenting with new materials and energy storage concepts that challenged industry norms. Her ideas started to gain traction internally, and she earned the respect of some colleagues who had previously doubted her. But success was bittersweet. The tech industry's inherent biases and power struggles were constant hurdles. Emily encountered moments when her contributions were minimized or credited to others. The pressure to conform was intense, yet her integrity remained unshaken. She knew that authenticity was crucial to making a lasting impact. In the midst of this professional turbulence, Emily's personal life provided both solace and complexity. She and Jake rekindled their friendship, sharing late nights filled with brainstorming sessions and heartfelt conversations. Their bond deepened into a quiet but powerful partnership, grounded in mutual respect and shared dreams. However, balancing the demands of her career and relationships was challenging. The long hours and emotional toll of her work sometimes made Emily feel isolated. She wrestled with guilt over the sacrifices she was making, especially after her mother's health began to decline. The hospital visits and moments of quiet reflection reminded Emily of life's fragility and the importance of purpose. Through it all, Elon Musk's story remained a constant source of inspiration. His willingness to take risks, his refusal to accept limits, and his vision for a sustainable future fueled Emily's determination to push forward. She devoured biographies, interviews, and talks, absorbing lessons on resilience, innovation, and leadership. When the encrypted message arrived, a digital whisper promising access to a secret project, it felt like a call to action. Suddenly, the struggles of the past seemed like preparation for something bigger, a puzzle piece in a grander design. But the message also brought danger. Emily soon realized that pursuing the secret invention would test not only her technical skills but her ability to navigate a world filled with suspicion, betrayal, and high stakes. Trust became fragile. She experienced firsthand the cost of ambition when a trusted colleague leaked information to authorities, casting shadows on her motives. The isolation was painful, yet Emily's resolve only hardened. Every failure, every betrayal, every moment of doubt was met with a renewed commitment to the vision she held dear. She knew that the road ahead would be perilous, but the possibility of changing the world was worth every risk. In this crucible of challenge and hope, Emily began to evolve, not just as an engineer but as a leader, a fighter, and a beacon of resilience. Her journey was far from over, but with each step, she grew closer to unlocking the secret that could transform humanity's future. The Silicon Valley skyline gleamed under the setting sun as Emily prepared for what lay ahead. The battle for innovation had just begun. The stakes grew higher. The tension in Emily Parker's life escalated rapidly as the secret project she was unraveling began to draw attention from powerful forces beyond her control. What started as a curious encrypted message had morphed into a high-stakes game where trust was scarce and the consequences of every move could be devastating. Back at Nexus Innovations, the atmosphere had shifted from cautious optimism to a simmering war zone. Whispers of espionage circulated through the halls, and eyes that once looked at Emily with skepticism now burned with suspicion. Her every action was scrutinized, every conversation overheard. The betrayal she faced from a close colleague, someone she had once called a friend, cut deep. That person had leaked sensitive information to government agents, accusing Emily of unauthorized access to proprietary data. Suddenly, Emily was not just fighting to protect an invention, she was fighting for her reputation, her career, and her freedom. As she navigated this hostile environment, a second wave of conflict arose from within her own circle. Jake, though supportive, grew increasingly worried about the risks she was taking. Their late-night conversations turned tense as he questioned whether pursuing the secret project was worth the dangers it brought. Emily felt torn between her passion for discovery and the fear of losing those she loved. The stakes were higher than ever when a mysterious group approached Emily with an offer: cooperate and gain access to exclusive resources, or be shut out completely. The group's motives were unclear, their methods shadowy, and their demands unsettling. Accepting meant compromising her principles, but rejecting risked losing the chance to bring the invention to light. Faced with this dilemma, Emily found herself walking a tightrope between hope and despair. Each step forward seemed to reveal new obstacles. Government agencies intensified their surveillance, monitoring her communications and movements. Her digital life was compromised, encrypted messages turned into traps, and allies became liabilities. Yet amidst this chaos, Emily's resilience shone brightest. She leaned on the lessons learned from her past, the unwavering support of her mother, the mentorship of Dr. Sandra Kim, and the example set by Elon Musk's relentless pursuit of impossible goals. Climax came swiftly when Emily was summoned to a high-security hearing to answer charges of corporate espionage. The room was cold, the faces around her hostile and unforgiving. It was a moment of profound crisis. But just when all seemed lost, a surprise witness stepped forward, an insider who corroborated Emily's story, revealing the shadowy attempts to suppress the invention for political and financial gain. Hope flickered anew. The hearing ended in a stalemate, buying Emily precious time but no guarantee of safety. She emerged more determined, aware that the next challenge would be even more daunting. With renewed vigor, Emily assembled a small, trusted team of innovators and activists committed to protecting the invention's potential for good. Together, they began to develop a plan to safeguard the technology from those who sought to exploit or destroy it. Yet, the climax of the rising conflict came with a devastating blow. Jake was caught in a crossfire of corporate sabotage, targeted because of his association with Emily. Injured and disillusioned, he pulled away, leaving Emily to face the storm alone. The emotional weight of his departure threatened to unravel her, but she found strength in the vision that had brought her this far. The chapter closed with Emily standing at a crossroads, the invention's fate hanging in the balance and the future uncertain. But through every trial, one thing remained clear: her journey was far from over, and the fight for a better tomorrow had only just begun. Emily Parker's world had shifted into a realm where every decision bore immense weight, where the line between friend and foe blurred, and where the stakes extended far beyond her own survival. The fallout from the hearing left her cautious but not defeated. The insider's testimony had bought her time, but it had also painted a target on her back. She realized that to protect the secret invention and bring it to light, she had to take control of the journey herself, to step beyond the walls of Nexus Innovations and venture into the heart of the cutting-edge world where Elon Musk's vision lived and breathed. With Jake's withdrawal weighing heavily on her heart, Emily knew she couldn't afford to be paralyzed by loss. The project was bigger than both of them, a force that had the power to reshape energy, technology, and perhaps the very future of humanity. Gathering her remaining allies, a small but fiercely loyal team of engineers, programmers, and advocates, Emily set out on a mission that would take them to SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, a place where innovation was synonymous with risk and where the impossible was a daily challenge. The journey began with a palpable mixture of excitement and apprehension. The sprawling SpaceX campus was a world apart from the familiar Silicon Valley tech scene. Rockets towered in hangars, their steel bodies gleaming under the California sun, ready to breach the sky's limits. The air was thick with the scent of fuel, metal, and human ambition. Emily's heart raced as she walked through the corridors where the future was being forged, a place where Elon Musk's dream of making life multiplanetary was no longer science fiction but a tangible goal. Inside a secured laboratory, Emily was introduced to Dr. Maya Chen, a brilliant physicist whose work in energy storage systems had drawn her to the secret invention. Maya's sharp intellect and unyielding optimism offered a beacon of hope in a world shadowed by corporate intrigue and government scrutiny. Together, they began to dissect the technology, breaking it down to its core components and possibilities. The invention was unlike anything Emily had encountered. It was a new type of energy storage system, compact, incredibly efficient, and capable of storing power on a scale previously thought impossible. Its applications were staggering, from powering electric vehicles for months without recharge to stabilizing entire power grids and even enabling space missions with unprecedented endurance. The potential to transform energy consumption, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and combat climate change was immense. But with great promise came great challenges. The technology was delicate, and replicating its core principles required precision and innovation at every step. Early experiments revealed the fragility of the materials involved and the complex interplay of quantum mechanics that underpinned the system's efficiency. Emily and Maya worked tirelessly, refining designs, running simulations, and pushing the limits of what current engineering could achieve. Days blurred into nights as the team navigated a labyrinth of technical obstacles and ethical dilemmas. Questions arose: how could they ensure the invention would be used responsibly? What safeguards were needed to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands? The weight of these considerations pressed heavily on Emily's shoulders. During one particularly tense session, a sudden system failure threatened to destroy months of work. A critical energy spike overloaded the prototype, causing sparks to fly and alarms to blare. The lab descended into chaos. But Emily's quick thinking and calm under pressure averted disaster. The incident became a turning point, revealing weaknesses that, once addressed, made the invention stronger and more resilient. Amid the scientific breakthroughs and technical setbacks, Emily found herself reflecting on the personal cost of her journey. The isolation from Jake's absence still stung, and the constant threat of sabotage loomed large. Yet, every success, no matter how small, reaffirmed her belief in the mission's worth. In a moment of quiet after a long day, Maya shared her own story of struggle and determination, reminding Emily that innovation was as much about the people behind it as the technology itself. Their conversations became a source of inspiration, forging a bond rooted in shared purpose and respect. As the team edged closer to a working prototype, news arrived that the mysterious group offering resources had escalated their pressure tactics. They demanded exclusive control over the invention or threatened to unleash a campaign to discredit Emily and her allies. The moral and strategic dilemma deepened. Surrendering risked the invention's integrity, but refusal risked annihilation. Determined not to yield, Emily spearheaded a bold plan, to publicly reveal the invention's core principles at a major technology conference, bypassing traditional channels and control structures. The gamble was enormous. It could expose the invention to the world, sparking collaboration and protection through transparency, or it could backfire, inviting legal battles, sabotage, and personal danger. In the lead-up to the conference, Emily's team worked around the clock to prepare a demonstration that would not only showcase the technology's potential but also highlight the urgent need for responsible innovation. The presentation would be their declaration of independence, a stand against the forces that sought to bury the invention for profit or power. On the day of the conference, as the auditorium filled with industry leaders, journalists, and skeptics, Emily felt the weight of every moment. The lights dimmed, and the prototype came alive, powering devices and vehicles in real time with unprecedented efficiency. The crowd watched in stunned silence, then erupted in applause. But victory was fleeting. As the applause died down, a coordinated cyber attack attempted to hijack the conference's broadcast, threatening to erase the demonstration from public view. The attack was repelled thanks to the cybersecurity measures implemented by Maya and the team, but it underscored the battle that lay ahead. In the aftermath, the world buzzed with excitement and debate. Supporters hailed the invention as a breakthrough that could redefine energy and sustainability. Critics and vested interests launched campaigns to question its feasibility and safety. Emily found herself at the center of a storm, a symbol of hope for some, a threat to others. The journey into the heart of innovation had transformed Emily. She was no longer just a determined engineer, she was a leader, a symbol of resistance and resilience. The secret invention was no longer hidden in shadows but shining in the spotlight, carrying the promise of a better future and the burden of fierce opposition. As Emily looked out over the crowd of supporters and detractors alike, she knew the next chapter of her journey would demand even greater courage, wisdom, and heart. The adventure was far from over, but for the first time, the path ahead seemed illuminated by possibility. Emily Parker stood on the rooftop terrace of the conference center, the city lights stretching endlessly before her like a sea of stars. The applause from the demonstration still echoed in her ears, but beneath the triumph was a storm brewing, one that would test everything she believed in. The secret invention had captured the world's attention, but with that spotlight came scrutiny, betrayal, and revelations that threatened to shatter her resolve. The days following the conference were a whirlwind. Media outlets clamored for interviews, government agencies initiated investigations, and industry titans weighed in with both praise and criticism. Emily felt the pressure mounting like a tightening noose, but she refused to back down. The truth about the invention, its potential to revolutionize energy and the sacrifices made to develop it, had to be heard. Then came the bombshell. A whistleblower from inside the shadowy group that had tried to coerce her stepped forward with evidence of a conspiracy to suppress the invention. Files leaked to Emily detailed how powerful interests feared the disruption the technology could cause to established energy markets. The documents exposed attempts to discredit her team through misinformation campaigns and covert sabotage. The emotional weight of the betrayal hit Emily hard. She had known the fight would be uphill, but the depths of deceit cut deeper than she imagined. She grappled with feelings of isolation, anger, and fear, wondering if her dream was worth the price. In the midst of the chaos, Jake returned. Having recovered from his injuries and disillusionment, he sought forgiveness and offered his unwavering support. Their reunion was tender and raw, a moment of vulnerability that rekindled the strength Emily needed. Together, they resolved to face the battles ahead united. Emily's team intensified their efforts, leveraging the whistleblower's information to counter the smear campaigns and fortify the invention's defenses. The fight became not only about technology but about truth, integrity, and the future of innovation. During a pivotal public hearing, Emily took the stand and spoke with passion and clarity, revealing the invention's journey, the obstacles faced, and the stakes for humanity. Her testimony resonated deeply, shifting public opinion and rallying support from unexpected quarters. Yet, just as hope surged, a devastating attack targeted the laboratory. Vital equipment was destroyed, and months of research threatened to vanish in flames. The emotional climax reached its peak. Emily faced the potential loss of everything she had fought for. But amid the ashes, resilience emerged. The team came together stronger than ever, fueled by a renewed sense of purpose and the lessons learned from adversity. Emily's leadership inspired not just her allies but a growing movement of advocates who believed in the invention's promise. As the chapter closed, Emily reflected on the journey, the sacrifices, the betrayals, the victories, and the unbreakable hope that had carried her through. The truth had been revealed, and with it came a profound realization: the fight for a better future was far from over, but love, courage, and unwavering belief would always light the way. Emily Parker stood quietly in the vast open space of the newly rebuilt Nexus Innovations Lab, the soft hum of advanced equipment filling the air like a heartbeat. Months had passed since the emotional climax, the public hearing, the lab attack, and the fierce battles fought in boardrooms, courtrooms, and newsrooms. Now, the dust had settled, revealing a landscape forever changed by her relentless pursuit of the secret invention. The once distant dream was finally within reach, but it came with a hard-earned wisdom that shaped Emily in ways she hadn't expected. The path to this moment had been grueling. Every challenge, every betrayal, every sleepless night had forged her into a leader defined not just by intellect but by empathy and resilience. The invention, which had once been a guarded secret, was now openly embraced by a growing coalition of scientists, environmentalists, and industry innovators determined to harness its potential for the greater good. Emily thought back to her earliest days, leaving Ashland, Ohio, carrying a mixture of hope and uncertainty, battling self-doubt and external opposition. The journey had tested her at every turn, from the loss of trust among colleagues to the strain on her personal relationships. Jake's unwavering support after his recovery had been a beacon during her darkest hours, reminding her that no battle worth fighting was fought alone. The lessons learned went far beyond technology. Emily understood now that true innovation required courage to face not just scientific hurdles but the complexities of human nature, the fear of change, the thirst for control, and the power of collaboration. She had witnessed how love and sacrifice intertwined with ambition, shaping destinies and fueling revolutions. As the lab's new prototype powered up seamlessly, Emily's mind wandered to the future she envisioned, a world where clean, affordable energy was accessible to all, where communities thrived without the shadow of environmental destruction, and where the spirit of discovery inspired generations. The invention was more than a machine, it was a symbol of hope and a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity. In a quiet moment, Emily addressed her team, expressing gratitude for their dedication and resilience. She acknowledged the scars left by conflict but emphasized the strength found in unity and shared purpose. Together, they had not only built technology but a movement rooted in integrity and vision. Reflecting on her own transformation, Emily recognized that her greatest achievement was not the invention itself but the journey of growth, learning to trust herself, to lead with compassion, and to embrace uncertainty as a catalyst for change. The woman who had arrived in Silicon Valley uncertain and overlooked had become a trailblazer, a guardian of a future brighter than she had dared to imagine. The story closed with Emily standing before a diverse crowd gathered for the invention's public launch, her voice steady as she shared a message that resonated beyond the technology: life is full of surprises, but love will always lead the way. The crowd erupted in applause, not just for the invention, but for the spirit it embodied. In the end, Emily's journey was a powerful reminder that amidst adversity and doubt, the human heart's capacity for hope and love could ignite the greatest revolutions. The invention was only the beginning, a shocking new creation that sparked a global conversation, but it was Emily's courage and perseverance that truly changed the world. Emily Parker stood at the edge of a new dawn, the success of the secret invention having opened doors she once thought permanently closed. The invention had moved beyond the confines of Nexus Innovations, its impact rippling across industries and communities worldwide. But for Emily, this was just the beginning. The journey that had started in a cramped university lab had now evolved into a global mission to redefine humanity's relationship with energy, technology, and the planet itself. The early days after the public launch had been euphoric yet exhausting. Media coverage painted Emily as a visionary, a symbol of hope in a fractured world. Invitations poured in, from government forums to international conferences, each a chance to advocate for responsible innovation and equitable access to the technology. Yet beneath the applause and accolades, Emily felt the weight of responsibility more keenly than ever. Her team had grown, attracting brilliant minds from diverse fields: engineers, environmental scientists, policy experts, and activists, each bringing unique perspectives and expertise. Together, they embarked on ambitious projects to adapt the invention's applications across sectors, powering remote communities without reliable electricity, revolutionizing public transportation, and advancing space exploration efforts. One of the first major collaborations was with the United Nations, aiming to deploy the technology in regions devastated by energy scarcity and environmental degradation. Emily traveled extensively, witnessing firsthand the challenges faced by communities living without stable power sources. These experiences deepened her resolve to ensure the invention was not a privilege for the few but a lifeline for millions. The technical challenges of scaling the invention remained significant. Adapting the energy storage system for different climates, infrastructures, and uses required meticulous research and innovation. But the team's collective expertise and the open-source nature of the project fostered unprecedented collaboration. Competitors became partners, united by a shared vision that transcended profit margins. Back home, Emily maintained her connection to her roots, regularly visiting Ashland to mentor aspiring young scientists and support local initiatives focused on sustainability and education. She believed that inspiring the next generation was as vital as advancing the invention itself. The town that had shaped her was now a symbol of how far determination and community spirit could take a person. Despite the optimism, challenges persisted. Powerful interests continued to resist the widespread adoption of the technology, fearing disruption to established energy industries. Lobbying efforts, misinformation campaigns, and regulatory hurdles tested the movement's resilience. Emily and her team navigated these waters with transparency, advocacy, and a steadfast commitment to ethical principles. On a personal level, Emily found balance by reconnecting with family and friends, rediscovering joys outside the relentless pace of innovation. Jake remained her pillar, their relationship growing stronger through shared experiences and mutual respect. Together, they envisioned a future not just of technological breakthroughs but of meaningful human connections. The chapter culminated with the launch of a groundbreaking pilot project, a self-sustaining energy community powered entirely by the new technology. The project became a beacon of possibility, demonstrating how innovation, when guided by compassion and inclusivity, could transform lives and landscapes. As Emily watched children playing under the glow of clean energy lights in a once dark village, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The invention had transcended its origins, becoming a catalyst for hope, unity, and change. The journey continued, fueled by the belief that every new horizon held the promise of a better tomorrow. Emily Parker's journey into the bright future of innovation was far from smooth. As the invention's influence spread, so did the shadows that threatened to undermine it. The higher the light shone on her work, the darker the forces that sought to obscure it. Emily soon learned that innovation on this scale was not just a scientific challenge but a battlefield where unseen powers waged war in silence and secrecy. Despite the invention's growing acceptance among the public and progressive leaders, entrenched interests in the energy sector felt the tremors of disruption. Corporations whose fortunes were tied to fossil fuels saw the technology as an existential threat. Behind closed doors, they mobilized powerful lobbyists, media manipulators, and cyber operatives to protect their domains. Emily's team began to face coordinated attacks, cyber intrusions aimed at stealing research data, smear campaigns on social media, and legal maneuvers designed to stall the technology's deployment. Each incident was a calculated move in a complex chess game where stakes were global and consequences dire. One particularly harrowing moment came when Emily discovered that confidential project files had been leaked to a rival corporation with a history of aggressive takeovers and disregard for ethical standards. The betrayal cut deep. Someone within the inner circle had compromised the team's trust, motivated by greed and fear. The emotional toll of constant vigilance weighed heavily on Emily. Sleep became elusive as she grappled with paranoia and exhaustion. Yet, every attack also forged a stronger resolve. She understood that the fight for the invention was a fight for the future, a future where clean energy and innovation could break free from the chains of old power structures. To counter these threats, Emily expanded her coalition. She forged alliances with cybersecurity experts, investigative journalists, and international watchdog organizations. Transparency and openness became their armor. Public forums were held to educate communities on misinformation and the importance of safeguarding technological progress. Emily also leaned on her growing network of supporters, scientists, activists, and everyday citizens inspired by the invention's promise. Grassroots movements emerged worldwide, advocating for clean energy policies and holding corporations accountable. The momentum was undeniable, but the struggle was far from over. Amid the external battles, Emily faced internal conflicts as well. The pressure exposed cracks within her team, differences in vision, ethical debates, and the strain of relentless challenges tested their unity. Emily's leadership was put to the test as she navigated these complexities with empathy and firmness, reminding her team of their shared mission. Jake's unwavering support remained a constant anchor, providing emotional refuge amidst the storm. Their relationship deepened, evolving into a partnership not just of hearts but of minds committed to a shared destiny. In a climactic confrontation, Emily confronted the mole within her team, a painful but necessary step to protect the invention's integrity. The betrayal was a stark reminder of the stakes involved and the vigilance required to safeguard progress. The chapter closed with Emily standing before an international summit, ready to present a bold strategy to protect innovation from exploitation and sabotage. The world watched as she laid bare the challenges faced and called for global cooperation to defend the future of clean energy and technology. In that moment, Emily embodied not just a scientist or inventor but a warrior for hope, resilience, and a better tomorrow. The shadows remained, but so did the light, and the battle was far from over. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Emily Parker stood at the precipice of a new era, the tension of months past coiling tightly within her like a spring ready to release. The relentless barrage of attacks, betrayals, and opposition had forged her into a resilient force, but the cost had been immense. Now, as she prepared to unveil the next phase of the invention's development, a wave of cautious optimism surged through her veins. The tides were finally turning. The global summit where Emily was to present her vision gathered the world's most powerful leaders, innovators, and thinkers. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation and underlying tension. The stakes could not be higher, the future of energy, the environment, and even geopolitical stability depended on what would unfold in the coming hours. Emily's speech was more than a technical presentation, it was a call to collective responsibility. She detailed the invention's capabilities, its potential to democratize clean energy, and the urgent need for collaboration to protect it from exploitation. Her words resonated deeply, stirring a sense of shared purpose among the audience. Behind the scenes, Emily had secured unprecedented commitments, governments pledged funding for research and infrastructure, corporations agreed to partnerships grounded in ethical standards, and international bodies promised oversight to prevent monopolization. For the first time, a unified front emerged against the shadowy forces that had sought to undermine progress. The emotional weight of this breakthrough was palpable. Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she realized the magnitude of what had been achieved, not just a technological milestone, but a triumph of hope over fear, courage over complacency. In the days that followed, the momentum accelerated. Pilot projects expanded rapidly, bringing clean energy solutions to remote and underserved regions. Environmental indicators began to show signs of improvement, and public enthusiasm fueled a wave of innovation and investment. Emily's team, once fragmented by internal strife and external pressure, found renewed cohesion. Lessons learned from past conflicts fostered a culture of openness and resilience. They celebrated small victories while preparing for the challenges yet to come. Personal joys also blossomed. Emily and Jake's relationship flourished in this new chapter, their bond strengthened by shared experiences and mutual respect. They found moments of peace and laughter amidst the whirlwind, grounding each other in love and hope. Yet, Emily remained vigilant. She knew the journey was far from over. New challenges loomed on the horizon, technological, political, and social. But the turning tide had shifted the balance. The invention was no longer a secret guarded by a handful but a beacon lighting the way toward a sustainable future. As she stood before a crowd at a celebratory event, Emily's voice rang clear and steady, "This moment belongs to all of us. Together, we have proven that innovation fueled by integrity and compassion can change the world. Let us carry this light forward, unwavering and united." The applause that followed was thunderous, a symphony of hope echoing across continents. The shocking new invention from Elon Musk's visionary legacy had sparked more than buzz, it had ignited a revolution. Emily Parker's story was no longer just hers. It was the story of humanity's potential, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit to forge a better tomorrow. Emily Parker had always believed that the journey toward groundbreaking innovation was a solitary path, a personal battle fought with grit, intellect, and sheer determination. But the past months had taught her otherwise. As the ripple effects of the invention grew worldwide, Emily found herself surrounded by an expanding network of unexpected allies, united not by circumstance but by shared vision and hope. This newfound unity was more than a strategic advantage, it was a profound testament to the transformative power of collaboration. The invitation had come on an unassuming morning, a request for a confidential meeting with representatives from rival corporations, grassroots organizations, and government agencies previously considered adversaries. Emily's initial skepticism was understandable, trust had been a rare commodity in her world lately. But curiosity and the relentless pursuit of progress compelled her to accept. In a sleek, glass-walled conference room high above the city skyline, Emily met her new allies. They were an eclectic group, CEOs known for aggressive competition, activists hardened by years of environmental battles, and bureaucrats skilled in navigating political labyrinths. Yet, beneath their differences lay a shared recognition: the invention was bigger than any single entity or agenda. The discussions were candid and, at times, contentious. Decades of rivalry and mistrust could not be erased overnight. But Emily's leadership, marked by transparency and empathy, fostered an atmosphere where dialogue could flourish. They tackled thorny issues: equitable distribution of technology, safeguarding intellectual property while encouraging open innovation, and balancing profit motives with ethical imperatives. One of the most inspiring moments came when a coalition of grassroots organizations proposed a global initiative to educate communities on sustainable energy practices and the importance of technological literacy. Their passion ignited a wave of support, reminding everyone that the invention's true power lay in its ability to empower people. Emily's team worked tirelessly to integrate these diverse perspectives, developing frameworks for cooperation that honored each stakeholder's voice. The process was not without setbacks, compromises were needed, and old wounds sometimes reopened. But the commitment to a common goal outweighed individual differences. This alliance soon yielded tangible results. Joint ventures launched pilot programs in underserved regions, combining technological deployment with community engagement and education. Regulatory bodies collaborated on creating standards that protected consumers and innovators alike. Media campaigns highlighted stories of transformation, humanizing the impact of the invention. The ripple effect extended to global diplomacy. Emily found herself mediating conversations between nations with long-standing conflicts, leveraging the invention as a bridge for dialogue and cooperation. The technology became a catalyst not just for energy revolution but for peace-building and mutual understanding. On a personal level, Emily embraced the lessons of unity. She nurtured her relationships with Jake and her team, recognizing that strength arose from connection and trust. Their shared victories and challenges forged bonds that transcended professional ties. The chapter culminated in a landmark summit where the alliance formalized their partnership through a charter, an unprecedented commitment to steward the invention responsibly and inclusively. The event was broadcast worldwide, a symbol of hope and possibility in a fractured world. As Emily addressed the assembly, she reflected on how far she had come, from a lone inventor fighting shadows to a leader inspiring a movement. The journey was a testament to the truth that innovation thrives not in isolation but in community. With a steady voice, she declared, "Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we will shape a future where technology serves humanity, uplifts the vulnerable, and preserves our planet. This is our moment to rise, united and unwavering." The applause that followed was not just for Emily or the invention but for the promise of a world transformed by the power of unity. Emily Parker had stepped into a spotlight brighter than she ever imagined. The invention's success had thrust her into global fame, transforming her from a determined scientist into a household name. Interviews, keynote speeches, and media appearances became her daily routine, but with recognition came an unrelenting scrutiny that challenged her resilience and sense of self. Navigating this new world was as complex as the invention itself. From the moment the invention captured international headlines, the public's fascination was intense. Millions were eager to learn about the woman behind the technology that promised to change everything. Social media buzzed with praise, speculation, and sometimes harsh criticism. Every word Emily spoke was dissected, every action scrutinized. The adoration was thrilling, but the pressure was suffocating. Emily quickly realized that managing her public image was a delicate balancing act. She wanted to remain authentic, transparent, and true to her values, but the relentless media cycle demanded sound bites and simplified narratives. Complex scientific concepts were often reduced to catchy headlines that risked misunderstanding or sensationalism. The challenges extended beyond media dynamics. With fame came unsolicited advice, unwanted opinions, and invasive attention. Emily's privacy shrank as journalists and fans sought glimpses into her personal life. Even well-meaning supporters sometimes crossed boundaries, leaving her feeling exposed and vulnerable. Moreover, the invention's success drew scrutiny from skeptics and critics who questioned its feasibility, safety, and long-term impact. Conspiracy theories circulated, fueled by vested interests threatened by disruption. Emily faced the daunting task of addressing misinformation without amplifying it. To navigate these waters, Emily assembled a team of communication experts who shared her commitment to honesty and clarity. They crafted strategies to engage with the public meaningfully, using social media platforms to share progress updates, address concerns, and highlight stories from communities benefiting from the invention. Emily also prioritized direct engagement. She participated in town halls, online Q&A sessions, and educational webinars, breaking down complex ideas into accessible language. These efforts fostered trust and built a community of informed advocates who could counteract misinformation organically. Despite the demands, Emily sought moments of respite. She leaned on Jake and close friends for grounding, valuing conversations that transcended headlines and data. They reminded her that behind the public persona was a woman driven by purpose, passion, and hope. The chapter explored the emotional toll of fame, feelings of isolation amid crowds, the struggle to maintain authenticity, and the fear of losing oneself in the glare of the spotlight. Yet, it also highlighted the opportunities fame provided, a platform to inspire change, amplify marginalized voices, and mobilize global support. Emily's reflections culminated in a heartfelt speech at a global innovation summit. She spoke candidly about the human side of scientific breakthroughs, the doubts, fears, and joys, and called on the audience to embrace empathy alongside progress. Her words resonated deeply. Fame is a double-edged sword. It can illuminate or blind. But if we wield it with integrity and humility, it becomes a powerful tool to build bridges, foster understanding, and ignite hope. As applause filled the auditorium, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. Fame was not the destination but a responsibility, a call to lead with courage, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the future she had dedicated her life to shaping. Emily Parker had always believed that true innovation extended beyond technology. It carried the power to reshape societies, economies, and lives on a global scale. As the invention's reach expanded, Emily witnessed firsthand the ripple effect spreading far beyond the initial vision, a wave of transformation that touched corners of the world once forgotten by progress. In remote villages nestled among rugged mountains and arid deserts, communities once trapped in energy poverty now basked in the glow of reliable, clean power. The invention's deployment provided not just electricity but opportunities, schools illuminated for evening study, clinics powered to preserve medicines, and small businesses energized to thrive. Stories poured in from these places, each a testament to resilience and hope reignited. Emily's team partnered with local leaders and organizations to tailor the technology to unique environments and cultural contexts. These collaborations fostered ownership and sustainability, ensuring that solutions were not imposed but nurtured from within. The success of these projects inspired further initiatives, creating a network of empowered communities connected by shared progress. In urban centers, the invention catalyzed shifts in industry and infrastructure. Public transportation systems adopted the technology, reducing pollution and easing congestion. Factories retooled to integrate sustainable energy sources, sparking economic revitalization and job creation. The invention became a cornerstone of smart city planning, blending innovation with quality of life improvements. Governments worldwide began revising policies to support green technology adoption, influenced by the tangible benefits demonstrated by Emily's work. Environmental metrics improved, carbon emissions declined, and public health indicators showed positive trends. The invention was no longer an abstract ideal but a measurable force driving global change. Yet, with widespread impact came complex challenges. The rapid transformation disrupted established industries and labor markets, necessitating thoughtful transitions to support displaced workers and communities. Emily advocated for inclusive policies that balanced innovation with social equity, emphasizing education and retraining programs to prepare the workforce for new opportunities. The invention also sparked philosophical and ethical debates. Questions arose about technology's role in society, privacy, and the balance between progress and tradition. Emily engaged with thought leaders, ethicists, and cultural representatives to navigate these conversations, underscoring the importance of dialogue and shared values. Media outlets featured compelling human interest stories illustrating the invention's multifaceted effects. From a young girl in a Himalayan village attending school by electric light for the first time to entrepreneurs launching eco-friendly startups in bustling metropolises, the narrative of change was rich and diverse. Emily traveled extensively to witness these impacts, drawing inspiration and renewed commitment. Each journey reinforced the interconnectedness of humanity and the profound responsibility borne by innovators. The invention had become a catalyst not only for energy transformation but for a broader awakening to collective potential. The chapter delved into Emily's reflections on legacy, how her work transcended patents and profits to touch the essence of human dignity and possibility. She recognized that the invention's true success lay in its ability to empower individuals and communities to shape their own futures. As the chapter closed, Emily stood on a cliff overlooking a vast landscape lit by countless points of light, villages, towns, and cities illuminated by clean energy. The scene was a powerful metaphor for the invention's ripple effect, a network of hope shining brightly in a world eager for change. With a heart full of gratitude and vision, Emily reaffirmed her commitment to nurturing this global movement. The invention was a beginning, a spark that would continue to kindle progress as long as people dared to dream and act together. Emily Parker's journey had been marked by extraordinary breakthroughs and moments of triumph, yet as the invention's influence spread, the shadows of unintended consequences began to emerge. Innovation, she learned, was never purely a tale of progress. It came entwined with complex trade-offs that demanded reckoning. The glowing promise of a cleaner, brighter future was tempered by challenges that tested Emily's resolve and forced her to confront the unseen costs of her creation. Reports started trickling in from some of the earliest deployment sites: unexpected environmental impacts, supply chain disruptions, and socio-economic tensions. In one coastal community where the Invention's energy system had replaced traditional power sources, local fisheries faced new regulations tied to environmental protection supported by the technology. While these regulations aimed to preserve ecosystems, they disrupted livelihoods and sparked protests. In rapidly industrializing cities, the sudden shift to the new technology strained existing infrastructure. Electrical grids designed for conventional energy struggled to integrate the innovation's decentralized power sources, leading to sporadic outages. Urban planners scrambled to adapt, but the transition revealed gaps in preparedness and coordination. On a global scale, the demand for rare materials essential to the Invention's components surged dramatically. Mining operations expanded, sometimes in ecologically sensitive areas, igniting concerns about habitat destruction and labor conditions. Emily grappled with the irony that a technology designed to heal the planet could inadvertently harm it if not managed responsibly. Social dynamics also shifted in unexpected ways. Communities that gained early access to the Invention prospered, but disparities widened between regions with resources and infrastructure and those without. This uneven development risked fueling tensions and undermining the inclusive vision that had motivated Emily from the start. Facing these realities, Emily convened a summit of experts, activists, policymakers, and community representatives to assess the situation candidly. The dialogue was intense, reflecting the complexity of balancing innovation with sustainability and equity. Emily listened deeply, acknowledging the Invention's limits and the necessity for adaptive strategies. The summit produced a comprehensive framework addressing environmental safeguards, ethical sourcing of materials, infrastructure upgrades, and social equity programs. Importantly, it emphasized ongoing monitoring, transparency, and community engagement to ensure the technology's deployment aligned with evolving needs and values. Emily's leadership during this period was marked by humility and accountability. She publicly acknowledged the Invention's challenges, countering narratives that painted technology as a panacea. Her openness fostered trust and galvanized collaborative efforts to mitigate negative impacts. Internally, the team redoubled research into alternative materials and more resilient system designs. Partnerships with environmental organizations intensified, seeking ways to restore and protect ecosystems affected by the technology's footprint. Educational campaigns raised awareness about responsible consumption and environmental stewardship. The chapter also explored the personal toll on Emily. The burden of responsibility weighed heavily as she navigated criticism and self-doubt. Yet, these struggles deepened her understanding of innovation as an ongoing process, not a final destination. She embraced the ethos of continuous learning and adaptation. Amid these challenges, stories of resilience and creativity emerged. Communities found ways to integrate traditional knowledge with new technologies, crafting hybrid solutions that honored heritage while embracing progress. Workers displaced by industrial shifts accessed retraining programs, opening pathways to new careers. Emily's reflections underscored a profound lesson: progress must be measured not only by technological milestones but by the well-being of people and the planet. True innovation demanded balance, empathy, and vigilance. As the chapter concluded, Emily gazed at a world in flux, illuminated by the Invention's promise yet shadowed by its complexities. She vowed to lead with integrity and vision, guiding the Invention's evolution with care and conscience. The unseen costs were real, but so was the power to face them together. Emily Parker's journey through innovation and global impact had transformed more than just the world around her, it had changed her at the core. As the Invention continued to reshape societies and inspire hope, Emily found herself confronting internal barriers as profound as the external challenges she faced. This chapter is a story of personal growth, resilience, and the breaking of limits that once held her back. From the early days of her career, Emily had been defined by determination and intellect, driven to prove herself in a male-dominated field. Her relentless pursuit of progress sometimes masked deeper insecurities, a fear of failure, a struggle to balance ambition with vulnerability. These internal conflicts simmered beneath the surface, shaping her decisions and relationships in subtle but powerful ways. As the invention stakes rose, Emily's leadership demanded new skills, empathy, diplomacy, and self-awareness. The pressure cooker of public scrutiny and the complex web of alliances challenged her to shed old patterns of control and perfectionism. She had to learn to delegate, trust others, and embrace uncertainty. One pivotal moment came during a crisis when a key pilot project faced setbacks due to unforeseen environmental impacts. The team looked to Emily for answers, but the weight of responsibility threatened to overwhelm her. Rather than retreat into solitude, she chose to openly share her doubts and fears with her team, fostering a culture of honesty and collaboration. This vulnerability strengthened bonds and sparked creative problem-solving. Emily realized that leadership was not about having all the answers but about guiding others through complexity with courage and openness. The breakthrough solutions that emerged from this period reflected a new way of thinking, one that valued diverse perspectives and collective wisdom. Emily also confronted personal relationships that had been strained by years of intense focus on work. Her partnership with Jake deepened as they navigated challenges together, learning to communicate more authentically and support each other's growth. Friends and family became sources of grounding and joy, reminding her of life beyond the invention. Mindfulness and self-care practices entered Emily's routine, helping her manage stress and cultivate presence. She found solace in nature, art, and moments of quiet reflection, reconnecting with passions that had been sidelined. These practices nurtured resilience and creativity, fueling her ability to lead with compassion. The chapter explored themes of identity and transformation, how Emily's journey mirrored the invention's evolution from isolated brilliance to interconnected potential. Both required breaking down old barriers to unlock new possibilities. Emily's story became an inspiration not just for aspiring scientists but for anyone facing personal or professional crossroads. Her courage to embrace change and imperfection illuminated the path toward authentic success. As the chapter closed, Emily stood before a gathering of young innovators, sharing her story candidly. Innovation begins with ideas, but it flourishes through growth, of ourselves, our relationships, and our communities. Breaking barriers means stepping into the unknown with heart and humility. Her words resonated, planting seeds of hope and empowerment. Emily Parker was no longer just the inventor of a revolutionary technology, she was a beacon of transformation, proof that true progress encompasses both the world we build and the people we become. Despite the global successes and growing alliance supporting Emily Parker's revolutionary invention, the undercurrents of resistance began to intensify. What once had been subtle whispers of dissent from corporate rivals and fossil fuel lobbyists escalated into a full-scale campaign designed to undermine her work and reputation. The shadows of opposition emerged as a powerful, organized force, threatening to stall the progress that had taken years to build. Emily first sensed the shift during an international conference where she was scheduled to speak. Suddenly, activists critical of her technology appeared, protesting loudly, accusing her of corporate greenwashing and ignoring indigenous rights. Simultaneously, cyber attacks targeted her company's servers, threatening the security of sensitive research data. Media outlets began publishing skeptical articles questioning the long-term viability and safety of the invention. Social media exploded with misinformation campaigns spreading doubts and conspiracy theories. Behind the scenes, powerful interests coordinated efforts to slow adoption of the new technology. Lobbyists pushed governments to delay legislation that favored renewable energy. Some influential media personalities cast doubt on Emily's credibility, portraying her as a naive idealist manipulated by Silicon Valley elites. This coordinated resistance was more sophisticated and widespread than anything Emily's team had anticipated. The emotional toll on Emily was severe. She grappled with feelings of betrayal and frustration. How could a tool meant to save the planet provoke such fierce backlash? Yet she refused to be cowed. Instead, she convened emergency meetings with her closest advisors and allies to devise a strategy to counteract these attacks. Transparency, education, and renewed community engagement became key pillars. Emily launched a global campaign to directly address public concerns. She and her team organized open forums, live-streamed Q&A sessions, and detailed reports that openly discussed challenges and how they were being mitigated. Personal stories from individuals and communities positively impacted by the invention were shared widely to humanize the technology and counter negative narratives. Cybersecurity measures were strengthened, and a task force was assembled to monitor and combat misinformation online. Collaborations with independent scientists and environmental groups were forged to ensure third-party verification of the invention's safety and effectiveness. Throughout the chaos, Emily relied heavily on Jake and her team's unwavering support. Their solidarity reminded her that the journey toward meaningful change would always involve confrontation with entrenched powers. The challenge was to remain steadfast without losing sight of the invention's core purpose. In private moments, Emily reflected on the paradox of innovation. How breakthroughs that promise hope can also provoke fear and resistance. This opposition underscored the deep systemic shifts required to transition to a sustainable future. The battle was as much ideological as technological. The chapter highlighted the resilience and adaptability of Emily's leadership. Instead of retreating, she embraced the opposition as a catalyst to deepen dialogue, strengthen alliances, and refine the invention's role in society. The confrontation revealed new allies among disillusioned skeptics who, when engaged honestly, became advocates. As tensions mounted, Emily prepared for a critical public debate with a prominent skeptic who had emerged as the face of the opposition. This event would be a defining moment, a chance to confront fears, dispel myths, and reaffirm the invention's promise. Standing backstage before the debate, Emily took a deep breath. The path ahead was fraught with difficulty, but she was ready to face the shadows head-on. The future she envisioned depended not just on technology but on courage, truth, and unwavering commitment. The new threat had arrived, but so had Emily's resolve. The day of the debate arrived with an electric atmosphere pulsing through the packed auditorium and streaming online to millions worldwide. Emily Parker stood behind the curtain, her heart pounding, knowing this moment could define not only her invention's future but the credibility of the movement she had nurtured for years. Across the stage stood her formidable opponent, Dr. Marcus Holloway, a charismatic skeptic whose critiques had fueled much of the opposition's momentum. The public eye was fixed on them both. As the moderator introduced the session, Emily's mind sharpened, recalling months of preparation, countless hours studying Holloway's arguments, and rehearsing her responses. But beyond facts and figures, she understood that this battle was also about trust and empathy, connecting with a diverse audience grappling with hope, fear, and uncertainty about a rapidly changing world. The debate began with Holloway laying out his case. He questioned the invention's scalability, the environmental cost of sourcing rare materials, and potential unintended consequences. His delivery was confident, appealing to caution and skepticism, warning against rushing to embrace unproven technology. The audience listened intently, some nodding in agreement, others frowning. When it was Emily's turn, she stepped forward with calm assurance. She acknowledged the challenges honestly, refusing to dismiss concerns. Innovation is not perfect, she said, but it is a journey of continuous learning and improvement. Our invention has already transformed lives, empowered communities, and reduced emissions. We have transparent data and third-party verification to support this. She shared poignant stories from people whose lives have been uplifted, the student in a remote village studying by electric light, the entrepreneur launching a sustainable business, the community healing environmental scars through collaboration. These narratives brought a human face to the technology, cutting through abstract debate. Emily also highlighted the steps taken to address environmental and social issues, the ethical sourcing initiatives, infrastructure upgrades, and partnerships with local leaders. Progress requires responsibility, she said. We must evolve together, learning from setbacks and building solutions that serve everyone. As the debate progressed, Emily's authenticity and vision began to resonate. Audience questions revealed curiosity and cautious optimism. Even Holloway's tone softened as he acknowledged the invention's potential benefits while reiterating the need for vigilance. In a pivotal moment, Emily invited Holloway to join a collaborative research initiative aimed at transparent, ongoing evaluation of the technology's impacts. This gesture surprised many and demonstrated a commitment to openness rather than confrontation. The debate concluded with a standing ovation for both participants, a sign that dialogue and respect had triumphed over division. Media coverage praised the event as a watershed moment in public discourse around innovation and sustainability. In the days that followed, Emily's team saw a surge in public support, increased engagement on educational platforms, and new partnerships forming worldwide. The opposition's narrative began to lose steam as more voices joined the conversation with informed perspectives. Emily felt a profound sense of relief and renewed purpose. The debate had been more than a contest of ideas, it was a turning point that reaffirmed the power of transparent leadership, empathy, and collaboration in overcoming fear and resistance. Reflecting on the experience, Emily understood that the path to transformative change would always include hurdles, but with courage and integrity, those obstacles could be transformed into milestones. As she stood overlooking the city skyline from her office, Emily smiled, knowing the invention's journey was far from over but now illuminated by the light of public trust and shared commitment. With public trust restored and global support surging, Emily Parker and her team embarked on the most ambitious phase yet, scaling the invention to unprecedented levels, ensuring its impact would reach every corner of the world. This was a period of intense activity, innovation, and complex logistics as they transitioned from promising pilot projects to widespread implementation that would redefine energy systems on a global scale. The challenge was monumental. Manufacturing facilities had to be expanded rapidly while maintaining strict quality controls and ethical sourcing standards. Supply chains were re-engineered to minimize environmental footprints and support local economies. Emily prioritized transparency throughout the process, regularly updating the public and stakeholders to maintain trust and momentum. Global partnerships multiplied. Governments, NGOs, tech companies, and community organizations joined forces in coordinated efforts to adapt the technology to diverse environments, ranging from dense urban centers to remote islands. Customized solutions were developed to meet the specific needs and constraints of each region, demonstrating the invention's flexibility and adaptability. Investment poured in from socially responsible funds, venture capitalists inspired by the invention's impact, and international development agencies. These resources fueled innovation in complementary technologies, such as energy storage, smart grids, and AI-driven maintenance systems, which enhanced efficiency and accessibility. Emily's leadership evolved into a balancing act of visionary strategy and meticulous operational management. She cultivated a culture of innovation and inclusivity within her organization, empowering teams to take initiative and embrace challenges. Regular cross-disciplinary workshops encouraged knowledge sharing and fostered creative problem-solving. The chapter explored the technical and human aspects of this scaling endeavor. Engineers and technicians worked long hours in challenging conditions, driven by a shared purpose. Local communities were trained to operate and maintain systems, fostering ownership and sustainability. Educational programs inspired the next generation of innovators eager to build upon Emily's foundation. Amid the rapid expansion, Emily remained grounded by her values. She insisted on environmental and social audits, engaged directly with affected communities, and championed policies to ensure equitable access to the invention's benefits. These commitments set new standards in responsible innovation. The chapter also acknowledged setbacks and complexities. Supply disruptions due to geopolitical tensions, cultural misunderstandings requiring sensitive negotiation, and technological glitches demanding swift adaptation. Each challenge reinforced the necessity of resilience, collaboration, and humility. Emily's reflections revealed a deepening understanding of leadership as a dynamic, evolving practice. Success was measured not just by numbers but by the quality of relationships, the empowerment of individuals, and the preservation of the planet. The narrative painted vivid scenes of bustling factories, remote villages lit up by the invention's power, and bustling cities where smart infrastructure reduced emissions and improved quality of life. These images underscored the invention's transformative reach. As the chapter closed, Emily stood on the rooftop of a new facility, watching the sunset cast a golden glow over a city humming with life and possibility. The scaled-up invention was more than technology. It was a symbol of hope, collaboration, and a shared commitment to a sustainable future. Emily knew the journey ahead would continue to demand courage and vision, but she was ready. The new era had begun. As the invention reached its zenith of influence and adoption, Emily Parker found herself reflecting deeply on the legacy she was building, not just the technology itself, but the broader cultural and societal shifts it had sparked. This chapter explores the enduring impact of her work, the foundations laid for future generations, and the meaning of true legacy. Emily had always believed that innovation was a means to an end, not an end itself. The real triumph was in empowering individuals and communities to imagine and create better futures. Over the years, she witnessed this vision take root in ways that surpassed her original dreams. Communities once isolated by geography and poverty were now vibrant hubs of activity and opportunity. Clean energy-powered schools, hospitals, and businesses, improving quality of life and opening pathways out of poverty. Local leaders emerged as champions of sustainability, blending modern technology with cultural traditions in ways that enriched identity and resilience. On a global scale, the invention had catalyzed policy reforms that prioritized environmental stewardship and social equity. International agreements now reflected the imperative to balance development with conservation, guided by the lessons learned through Emily's journey. Education systems incorporated sustainability and innovation as core curricula, nurturing a generation equipped to face future challenges. Emily's influence extended beyond tangible outcomes. She became a mentor and advocate for inclusive innovation, emphasizing ethics, empathy, and community engagement. Through lectures, writings, and personal interactions, she inspired countless individuals to pursue purposeful careers and embrace leadership as a force for good. The chapter highlights the institutions and initiatives established to continue the invention's mission: research centers, fellowship programs, and global networks fostering collaboration across disciplines and borders. These structures ensured that progress was not static but continuously evolving. Emily grappled with the balance between pride and humility. She recognized that while her role had been pivotal, the movement was collective, built on the passion and perseverance of many. This understanding deepened her commitment to fostering open, participatory innovation ecosystems. The narrative also touches on the personal dimensions of legacy. Emily's relationships had grown richer and more grounded, shaped by shared values and mutual support. She found joy in witnessing the impact of her work on loved ones and communities alike. As the chapter drew to a close, Emily visited a school powered by the invention where children eagerly learned about science and sustainability. She saw in their eyes the spark of curiosity and hope, the living embodiment of her legacy. Emily's voice, steady and heartfelt, echoed in her closing reflections: "Legacy is not what we leave behind, but what we nurture in others, the courage to dream, the wisdom to care, and the will to act." The story painted a vivid picture of a world transformed, yet alive with possibility, reminding readers that every ending is a new beginning. Emily Parker stood alone on the rooftop of the research facility, gazing out over the sprawling cityscape bathed in the soft hues of dawn. The hum of clean energy systems, the vibrant life below, and the promise of a world reshaped by her invention filled her with a profound sense of closure, and a stirring anticipation for what lay ahead. This moment marked the culmination of a journey that had tested every fiber of her being, from the raw excitement of discovery to the harsh realities of opposition and the triumphs of transformation. It was time to reflect, to distill lessons learned, and to embrace the endless horizon of new beginnings. Her journey had begun with a spark of curiosity and the bold question: what if we could create something that changed everything? That question had led to sleepless nights in labs, painstaking trial and error, and an unyielding commitment to a vision larger than herself. But Emily knew that innovation was never just about the technology. It was about the people, their hopes, struggles, and resilience, that shaped and were shaped by it. Throughout the decades of development and deployment, Emily had learned that progress is rarely linear. It is a winding road marked by setbacks that test resolve, moments of doubt that threaten to derail, and unexpected allies who illuminate the path forward. She remembered the painful episodes of resistance, the cyber attacks, the protests, the media storms, that at times felt like insurmountable walls. Yet those challenges became crucibles forging stronger leadership and deeper empathy. Emily reflected on the importance of transparency and humility. By openly acknowledging the invention's imperfections and the complexity of its impacts, she cultivated trust and fostered collaboration. The decision to invite skeptics into the conversation, to treat dissent as dialogue rather than conflict, had been transformative. It was in these spaces of honest exchange that innovation blossomed most vibrantly. She also recognized the critical role of community engagement and equity. The invention's true power lay not only in its capacity to generate clean energy but in its ability to uplift people across diverse cultures and geographies. This holistic approach ensured that the technology was a tool of empowerment rather than exclusion, a bridge rather than a barrier. On a personal level, Emily's transformation paralleled her professional growth. She had learned to balance ambition with vulnerability, to lead with both intellect and heart. The relationships that nourished her, from Jake's unwavering support to the mentorship of young innovators, had been lifelines. These connections reminded her that no one accomplishes great change alone. The chapter also revisited key moments, the debate that turned public opinion, the summit addressing unintended consequences, the scaling efforts that brought the invention to the world. Each was a testament to the power of resilience, vision, and collective action. Now, as Emily looked ahead, she felt a profound sense of hope. The invention was not an endpoint but a foundation, one that future generations could build upon, refine, and expand. She envisioned a world where innovation remained deeply intertwined with ethics, empathy, and sustainability, where the lessons of her journey would guide new pioneers. Emily turned from the view and walked inside, greeted by a new cohort of young scientists eager to share their ideas. She smiled, seeing in them the same spark that had ignited her own path. "The future belongs to you," she said, her voice steady with conviction. "Carry forward what you've learned, embrace challenges, seek truth, and never forget that progress is a human story." The story closed with a powerful message: life's surprises are inevitable, but it is love, courage, and a commitment to shared purpose that light the way through uncertainty. Emily's invention had indeed shocked the world, but its true legacy was the awakening it inspired, the realization that together, humanity could create a future filled with hope. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?